Ever since video games have been being made, creators have been putting big bad guns into their games and gamers have loved using them. But what about the little bit unusual ones? At first I was going to do a top 5 guns video, but then when I realized that most of my list was the unusual side guns that people use for fun, I decided to change this and make it the top 5 unusual guns in games. The rules are going to be 1 game per franchise, and your list is definitely going to be different from mine because I have my own personal taste and you have your own personal taste. But other than that, there's really no rules. I just thought of 5 very big bad. A couple of them aren't necessarily quirky, but they're just some of the most iconic, my favorite, great, different, unusual, awesome weapons in video games. Coming in at number 5 is Mr. Toots from Red Faction Armageddon. Now, who doesn't want to be a unicorn that you literally poop out a rainbow and make stuff explode? I mean, that to me is just incredible. Mr. Toots literally toots rainbows that explodes anything inside. It levels buildings, it destroys people, it does anything you need, and it's a freaking unicorn that shoots rainbows. I'm in. Coming in at number 4 is the hand cannon from Dead Space 2. Now, you all know when you go to sporting events and you buy your little foam finger and you're the #1 fan of the #1 team and you're waving that thing around, you know you get home and you make pew pew noises with that thing. You know you get home, you even point at the game as your least favorite player. Pew pew! You know you want that guy to fail. You want that guy to not succeed. Well, this is exactly what that does. Your character literally makes pew pew noises, and although there's not really a visible ammunition, stuff just drops. You just pew pew your little foam finger at guys and they just drop dead before you even know it. That has been one of my greatest fantasies as a kid, and it blows my mind to see that somebody had the intuitive creativity to make that into a video game weapon. An entry more about the badassery of the weapon as opposed to the creativity of the weapon. The BFG, otherwise known as the Big Gun from Doom, is just one of the biggest, baddest, most iconic weapons of the 90s. I mean, when you played video games or when you were talking with your friends at elementary school, if your parents let you play games like this, you had Quake, you had Doom, you had Wolfenstein, you had games that were just big, bad, controversial in many different ways for mainstream media back then. And all you could talk about was the BFG, which back then you might not necessarily would have known what that F stood for, or any of it for that matter, but you knew it was big, it was bad, and it was a gun that just shot big old cells of destruction, and you loved it. Coming in at number 2 is the Half-Life 2 and episodes that aren't quite Half-Life 3, Gravity Gun. The one thing about this weapon that makes it unique and applies for both parts of this list, being destructive in terms of flinging explosive barrels and chainsaws, and in the clip that I'm showing human beings around, as well as it is creative to literally manipulate gravity and physics itself. It is just an incredible weapon that you can use to take any object in your game that you see fit and just fling it across at people. Now, the training mode, the chainsaw blades with the zombies was fantastic, but later on you can get very creative and use dumpsters, crates, whatever your heart desires. If you threw a crate and that crate exploded, you could take the shards of wood and literally make that zombie have a giant freaking splinter in its stomach, and you knew that that zombie was struggling and you loved it and you wanted to do it again, so then you found an explosive barrel and boom. Coming in at number 1 is my personal favorite gun in any game, for any reason, for any consequence of quest to do it ever. The dubstep gun from Saints Row 4. Now, I recently bought this game for Xbox 360 to play with my girlfriend. We got this gun and I tried it out for the first time and I immediately fell in love. You can explode stuff. There's an explosion option that you can upgrade it with. There's the 3 different types of song that you can play with it, depending upon what color you make it. And people dance, cars jiggle, everybody gets into it. It's like, why wouldn't you want to kill stuff with dubstep? I mean, I've never thought of that as a thing. You listen to dubstep, I love dubstep. You know, I love me some jams. I love me when I'm home alone, when I'm driving in the car to work. You know, I'm jamming to some dubstep, but never did I think I could use it to blow shit up and to kill people and to make a riot happen and to increase my notoriety to such an extent that I had to run around to recharge the gun and then explode about 40 alien police cars that were coming around. You kill stuff with dubstep, and that is the most amazingly mind-blowing thing ever. So where did your gun land on the list? Did it land on the list? Like I said, this is basically, in essence, a list of my 5 favorite guns in games. And it's not necessarily a list on weapons, because I was going to do that separate from this video. But let me know what kind of weapons you want to see in that video, and what kind of guns I could include in this video to perhaps make a 6 through 10 rather. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I hope that this was enjoyable for you. Share this with your friends and get as many people to put some input on this video as you can. As always, I love every bit of feedback that you guys give me, and it's so much appreciated. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope that this was enjoyable as much as it was for me to record and make this video. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day.